Hello friends, welcome back to Desi in Canada. एक बार फिर आपका दोस्त अहमद कुरैशी आपके साथ. In today's video, we're going to talk about two recent updates that just came out from Ontario government and the British Columbia government. They put a ban on international students for the next 2 years at least. They have to sort a few things out, but the ban is there and it is going to impact you. I'll tell you what happened to a lot of students in 2022 and 2023. Students like you and your friends, they came to Canada, they spent 20 lakh, 30 lakh rupees of their parents to come and study in Canada. What happened was the initial requirement, what was disclosed to those students was that you would come to Canada and you would go to university and you'll have in-person classes. You were all excited, you came to Canada. As soon as you went to the college to attend your first session, you were informed that all of your classes for the rest of the year are online classes, no in-person class. Imagine the shock and discomfort that those students felt at that time. They spent 20 lakh, 30 lakh rupees to come and study in Canada, and now you're telling me that all my classes are online. I could have just stayed in India or Pakistan and get my education from there through online classes. Why did I spend all this money, my parents' hard-earned money, my savings and everything to come to Canada only to find out that my classes are online? This is a scam. To crack down on these scams, British Columbia and Ontario government have taken some very serious measures against these kind of institutions. I'll talk about that in a minute. So stay tuned. Please watch the entire video so you understand exactly what happened, what the ban is about, and how does this impact to you as a student. Another unfortunate thing about such scams are that students, they are super scared to raise their voice. But they, at that time when this happens to them, what they feel, okay, chalo yaar, Canada to main aa gaya, ab online hi padh lete hain. That is wrong. You have rights, you can take legal action against those institutions, inform the government, inform the provincial education body, whatever that is. Raise your voice. Don't be scared. The money was hard earned. 20 lakh, 30 lakh is not a small amount. But because people are scared to raise their voice, these institutions are getting braver and braver day by day. It did not happen to one or two students, it happened to thousands of students. Imagine you multiply that amount with that many thousands of students from all across the world. It's not India and Pakistan, it's anybody from anywhere in the world who's coming to Canada on study visa. This is happening to them. So these people have made millions and millions of dollars of your hard-earned money by doing this scam with you. So the important thing here to know is, ये ban international students पे नहीं लगा है, right? ये ban is a crackdown on those new private schools जो इस scam का part बनना चाह रहे हैं to bring international students into Canada. जो existing schools हैं, जो government colleges और जो proper universities हैं, they are okay. They can still bring in international students because they can still provide the quality education that you deserve. तो ये don't get confused कि total ban ही international students पे है. You have other proper avenues जिसके through you can still come to Canada as an international student. So stay with me for the rest of the video because there are some major updates that I'm going to share with you. Okay, so we start with British Columbia. So what happened in British Columbia? The government, the provincial government of British Columbia has noticed that these scams are happening and what the other issues that students are facing. So they basically figured out a couple of things. One, the quality of education that these institutes are providing to students it's not up to par. कहने को तो वो कनाडा में आके education ले रहे हैं बच्चे, but जो education standard है that's very low. Second thing is that the ratio between student and professor, the number of students and number of professor is really bad. It's not up to the par of Canadian standard. For example, अगर Canadian standard है कि एक professor पे 50 student हैं, तो यहाँ पे in private schools में especially एक professor पे 1000 student बैठे हुए हैं. So the quality of education is not good. The output of these private colleges, output of students is not up to the standard of Canadian education. Because of these two major things that got noticed by the British Columbia government, what they have done now is any private college who is hoping to get the license from the government that they can bring in international students from all across the world, इस पे hold लग गया है for next 2 years. So 2 साल के लिए जो भी नए college हैं, if they go to the British Columbian government that okay, I need a license, I need approvals, so I can bring international students from overseas. No, not allowed. Why? Because the British Columbian government, they want to do their due diligence. They want to make sure कि अगर आप यहाँ पे 20-30 लाख खर्च करके आ रहे हैं, you get the right education, you get the right quality of education that Canada is famous for. So the important thing here to know is ये ban international students पे नहीं लगा है, right? ये ban is a crackdown on those new private schools जो इस scam का part बनना चाह रहे हैं to bring international students into Canada. जो existing schools हैं, जो government colleges और जो प्रॉपर यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, they are okay. They can still bring in international students because they can still provide the quality education that you deserve. तो ये don't get confused कि total ban ही international students पे है. You have other proper avenues जिसके through you can still come to Canada as an international student. So another key update is for these private schools, the requirement for IELTS is changing. So basically what happens is the English language proficiency जो यहाँ पे students के लिए चाहिए in private schools के लिए और नए आने वाले प्राइवेट स्कूल्स के लिए, उसके जो बैंड की रिक्वायरमेंट है वो काफी ऊपर जाने वाली है. वी डोंट नो व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. अगेन इट्स पार्ट ऑफ द क्रैकडाउन अगेंस्ट दी स्कैम्स बाय द गवर्नमेंट. वो मार्च अप्रैल में फिर से अनाउंस होगी कि एग्जैक्टली व्हाट दोज बैंड आईएलटीएस के बैंड रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. सो स्टे ट्यून्ड फॉर दैट एज वेल. इफ यू आस्क फॉर माय ओपिनियन, स्टे अवे फ्रॉम प्राइवेट स्कूल्स, गो फॉर द प्रॉपर यूनिवर्सिटीज, प्रॉपर गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस जो इस तरह की, जैसे यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ ब्रिटिश कोलंबिया हो गई, कैलगरी, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैलगरी हो गई, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो हो गई, और बहुत सारी ऐसी यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं जो प्रॉपर फुली फंडेड यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, जहाँ पे प्रॉपर स्टूडेंट टू प्रोफेसर रेशियोज हैं, जहाँ पे क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन इज प्रॉपर, जो स्टूडेंट्स को बुलाते हैं बेस्ड ऑन द डिमांड ऑफ द कैनेडियन इकोनॉमी. वो रैंडम सिर्फ पैसे बनाने के लिए हर स्टूडेंट को यहाँ नहीं बुला रहे, ये इकोनॉमी की डिमांड को रखते हुए दे आर ब्रिंगिंग इन इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स. सो फोकस ऑन दोज. बट स्टिल इफ यू वांट टू गो थ्रू द प्राइवेट स्कूल चैनल, मेक श्योर you start working on your IELTS because IELTS की requirements are going to go up very soon. So the other thing to keep in mind is right now there are only two provinces, British Columbia and Ontario, जो ये दो कर रहे हैं. बाकी provinces are still open for the way things were or the things are happening today. But it's not going to be too far that the other provinces will catch up and they'll start following the same rules and guidelines जो Ontario और British Columbia में follow हो रही हैं. If you look at the total population of international students जो Canada में आता है, let's say अगर वो 1 million students आते हैं, तो almost 75% of this 1 million students, so 7,50,000 students are coming to Canada for either in Ontario or in British Columbia. तो बाकी सारे provinces हैं, उनमें सिर्फ 20-25% का quantity बचती है. But as I said, they are going to catch up and they're going to start implementing the similar policies very soon. तो अब जो मैं अपडेट बता रहा हूँ, this is going to be very critical for you as an international student. So now we talk about Ontario. So Ontario government, what they have done is, उन्होंने जो पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप वाले कॉलेजेस हैं उस पे बैन लगा दिया है. तो बेसिकली टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो है, उन्होंने किसी प्राइवेट स्कूल ने उनके साथ पार्टनरशिप करके उनको थोड़े जो भी फीस होती है वो देके उनसे ऑथराइजेशन ले ली कि स्टूडेंट विल get the education from our college, which is a private college, but if they will get the degree from University of Toronto. तो इस तरह की पार्टनरशिप्स भी ये जो प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस हैं ये इस स्कैम में पार्ट ले रही हैं. तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ओंटारियो ने इन पार्टनरशिप से बैन लगा दिया है फॉर नेक्स्ट फ्यू इयर्स. So as you can see, there are going to be super strict guidelines. International students who are focusing on the private universities or private colleges, in pay things are getting super strict. Again, I would emphasize, if you are coming here, you're spending all this hard-earned money of yours, either it's your money or your parents' money, focus on the public institutions, focus on the proper colleges and universities if you want to come to Canada for education. The other thing that Ontario and British Columbia governments, what they have done, they're going to assess the curriculum of these private. So एक तो हो गया कि नई पार्टनरशिप बंद हो गई, नए प्राइवेट स्कूल्स के लाइसेंसेस बंद हो गए. The next thing what they're going to do during the time कि ये लाइसेंसेस जब तक बंद हैं, they're going to evaluate the education of those already existing private colleges. They'll assess कि वहाँ पे students किस तरह के आ रहे हैं, उनका education standard किस तरह का है. They'll only be allowed to bring in students and for certain subjects जिसकी Canadian economy को जरूरत है. So again, just to make money, they won't be able to bring in students in, you know, कोई बिजनेस में आ रहा है, कोई मैथ्स में आ रहा है, कोई स्टैट्स में आ रहा है, कोई डेटा में आ रहा है, कोई एआई में आ रहा है. These are great disciplines to study in, but if the Canadian economy does not demand for these type of education students from international different countries, they're going to be assessment for these private schools, and these schools will only be allowed to offer what's in demand in Canada or where there is shortage in Canada. Another part of this major update, especially for Ontario, is कि Ontario government ने सारे इन institutions को instructions दे दी हैं कि the number of students you can bring into Canada should be aligned with the housing requirement in the city या जहाँ पे भी वो college या private school है. What that means is basically, as you probably have heard, what's happening is कि students तो भारी quantity में आ रहे हैं from all across the world, but when they come here, उनको रहने की जगह नहीं मिलती, और अगर मिलती है तो बेसमेंट के भी $2,000-3,000 के किराए होते हैं पर मंथ. An average student can never be able to afford this kind of rent, तो वो बेचारे एक बेसमेंट में 8-8, 10-10 बच्चा रह रहा है बहुत मुश्किल से. So again, the Ontario government took notice and they have given instructions to all these public-private partnership schools or any private schools. When you bring in the quantity, if you, for example, you're bringing in 100 students in your private school, make sure there is accommodation available for these. at reasonable rates. It's not like accommodation तो available है और आके भी आप $3,000 किराया मांग लें. No, it has to be reasonable. It has to be affordable for the student. So these were the updates now that you have seen कि British Columbia and Toronto and Ontario जहाँ पे 75% स्टूडेंट सारा आता है पढ़ने के लिए, जो गाइडलाइंस हैं, they are going to get super strict. They are already getting stricter, but they're going to get more harder for a new international student to come to Canada. ये जो recent changes, this is all part of the recent changes. अभी मैंने दो वीडियोस शेयर की थी जो आपको मैं स्क्रीन पे शेयर कर दूंगा या डिस्क्रिप्शन में उसका लिंक डाल दूंगा, जिसमें IRCC की अपडेट्स मैंने शेयर की थी कि कितने टोटल इमिग्रेशन पे क्या क्वांटिटी होगी, जिसमें मैंने शेयर की थी कि स्टूडेंट पे जो पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट वर्क परमिट जो मिलता है उस पे कितनी सख्तियां हो रही हैं. तो ऑल दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ अ बिगर प्लान कि कैनेडा वांट्स टू मेक थिंग्स not harder but stricter to get quality students from all across the world who can be part of the growing economy in Canada. So it's gonna get harder. Please make sure, I'm gonna say again, do your research, make sure you get admission in the education or in the discipline that is in demand. Because अगर आपने एजुकेशन किसी ऐसी चीज में ले ली जो डिमांड में नहीं है, उसके बाद आपका वर्क परमिट अप्रूव नहीं होगा क्योंकि आपको जॉब नहीं मिलेगी. So right from the get go, make sure you are studying what is in demand in Canada. So आपका वर्क परमिट का जो टाइम आएगा उसमें आपको वर्क परमिट मिलने में आसानी हो. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share this video with as many friends as possible. Go in the comment section, tell me what kind of videos you like to watch, what kind of videos you want me to make, and I'll make sure I'll address those videos in my future projects. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support and I'll see you in my next video.